I went to my second physical. Last year, I went back to the doctor for the first time in many, many years after dropping all the weight. And now I've gone back for my second physical. And, you know, what struck me about it was, I feel like when we were young, you went there and they kind of checked you out and, you know, they were looking for abnormalities in your skin, or they would feel your balls or whatever. And they were like kind of looking for signs of bad health. Whereas this was like kind of just an interview. And I realized, I kind of put it together for the first time, that really the point of an annual physical is just so that they can take a baseline interview of you, so that if you get sick some other day, they have like a history that they can reference. That's really like the whole point of it. And just to like nag you about vaccines, basically. Like I you know, I don't need to be getting HPV shots at this point of my life, but I got them because I wanted to clear it off of the, what do you call it? The chart. And at this point, this doctor was just like showing me the chart. She's like, so this is how it works. And she's like, did you get your flu vaccine? I was like, I did. And I said, but I got it at like CVS. So how would you have it? And she was like, oh, you in the software, you can actually click query and it will pull it down from all these different databases of where you got your vaccines. But I tell the story because last year they asked me a battery of strange questions, you know, in addition to like, do you have any concerns, any pain, any whatever? They asked me like kind of like a depression screening set of questions, and also kind of like a set of questions about like, you know, my financial situation. And I remember I talked about it on the podcast last year. I was trying to remember the things that they said, and I think I recalled them okay. But this time I got them all.
You wrote them down.
I got them written down. And I'm reading this and I'm talking about like if the answers were yes or whatever, it would be a very sad situation. Let me just preface that. But the reason I'm bringing it up is because I just like don't quite understand like where it's headed. Like they're big questions that like, I'm like, if I don't even really know how you would say, like casually say yes to one of these.
They send them directly to the FBI.
Yeah, I kind of feel like, yeah. So, in the last 12 months, and they're also oddly specific, like really specific. So check this out. In the last 12 months, the food you bought didn't last and you didn't have money to get more. Is that often, sometimes, or never true?
Oh, it's one of these where some often, never true. Okay.
And then the rest are just yes or no. Do you ever worry that your food is going to run out before you get money to buy more? Any trouble paying for medication? Any trouble getting transportation to medical appointments? Any trouble paying for heating or electricity? Any trouble taking care of a child, family member, or a friend? Are you currently unemployed or looking for a job or retired?
What if you said yes to all these? What would happen?
Yep. Yep. That's really kind of what I'm asking, is like, what would happen next? Would they be like,
well, you're obviously poor. We're going to like send you, I don't know, somewhere.
And they're not all made the same. Like the final question is, are you interested in more education? Like that could be
maybe,
like, maybe. Yes. I'd like to get another master's degree. So those were those. And they're like, oh, okay, cool. Thanks. Mina's theory is that maybe, they said something about like, they're like, oh, we just asked these as like demographic questions so that we can kind of know our community better. So it might just be like purely a survey about like the sociopolitical climate of the area that I live in. And then
it could be part of a study. Yeah.
Yeah. Or Nina's theory was that maybe because they're a nonprofit, this particular one is a nonprofit. Maybe they could apply for certain grants if they found out that like it's a really underserved community or something. And then this is what I had to fill out. Options were not at all, several days, more than half the days, and nearly every day. Okay. Little interest or pleasure in doing things. Feeling down, depressed, or hopeless. Trouble falling or staying asleep, or sleeping too much. Now, I'm just out of curiosity, why would you ask like the exact opposite of the question within it? Doesn't that seem like a data standards problem? Like if you were reporting on like the people who have a hard time sleeping and they were all bulked in with the people who sleep too damn much.
Yeah.
It seemed like an error or badly designed. Feeling tired or having little energy, poor appetite or overeating, feeling bad about yourself or that you are a failure or have let yourself or your family down.
Yep, these are these are big questions.
Yeah. More than half the days I'm a failure.
Yeah,
Trouble concentrating on things such as trouble concentrating on difficulty reading.
Yes, all the time.
At least one day a month. Trouble concentrating on things such as reading the newspaper or watching television. Moving or speaking. This one's you, EJ.
Oh, no.
Moving or speaking so slowly that other people could have noticed.
Oh, God. They say, are you drunk or high?
They played me at 2x speed and thought I had died. Or the opposite, being so fidgety or restless that you have been moving around a lot more than usual. And then finally, thoughts that you would be better off dead or of hurting yourself in some way. So, yeah. But again, I'm like, so that one was on a clipboard. So if I was like, I'm like suicidal half the time. Like wouldn't they have to rush me to something like, that's a big checkbox.
Yeah, that seems like you'd be triaged somewhere after that.
It's just interesting because I don't remember anything like this when I was younger.
The last time I went to a doctor was a pediatrician. So.
Yeah. Maybe part of it is that so many people go to their because there's a primary care visit. So many people go to their primary care with questions about anxiety or depression or mental health that they're like, what, just right when we get you in, we're going to ask some mental health questions and just know where you're at. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe it's a mental health crisis and they're trying to solve it.
Yeah. If they were for profit, that some massive percentage of their money comes from the mental health thing. It has to, right? No. That's always my question. I mean, this is, probably a little too hot of a topic for our little podcast, but I like there's always a lot of debate about how best to serve healthcare and get healthcare to people. And I'm often like, the other thing that we never really talk about is like, most of us shouldn't need too much healthcare. Like the vast majority of the population should not need to. And do you feel like, I find that a lot, if I'm sick for a couple of days or whatever, people really push me towards you should go to the doctor, get that checked out. I'm like, my mom was a school nurse and she was big on not until for sure you're really, really sick. And, you don't need to be rushing the nurse's office every time there's a problem. So I'm of that mindset. I'm like, well, viruses tend to clear out of your body, after a week or two sometimes. So why would I, and I've gone to the doctor enough times about a cold where they're like, you have a cold. It's true. You should have just stayed home and hydrated. Yeah. My sisters are medical professionals. And I remember even in the height of COVID, they would be at a family gathering and they'd have a cough and people would be like, why are you here? You have a cough. And they're like, it's just a cough. Just chill out. It's like, they just see so much disease they don't even care. It's a cough. Yeah. I suppose when I was younger too, the people they were quick to be like, you should go to the doctor. And it just remains my instinct. And maybe COVID exacerbated it a bit, but where I'm like, I don't think we should all rush the doctor if we are reasonably healthy and can be reasonably confident that the virus that we have will pass. Yeah. I mean, I don't feel like I've had a lot of pressure, mainly because I haven't seen a doctor since my pediatrician. Have you gone in for anything? I've gone to a CVS. I had a back spasm one time, and so I went to a CVS and they gave me muscle relaxers, and I took one. And I was like, this is awful. Because it just made me melt, and I could talk even slower than I do now. My tongue was heavy. I'm like, I've never taken that stuff. They it was I should have just did stretches, but they gave me a nuclear bomb. It was so I probably won't even do that.
Subscribe to Red Cow Entertainment on Patreon for full episodes every other week.